Hi guys, Bike Paul here. So first video of 2020 then, and you join me on my way to Via Moto here in the Sheffield city centre, and today I'm going to be taking out a Honda NC750X. Really interested in this bike. It's always been hyped up and gets a lot of interest as being an excellent commuter bike. Some people say it's the best commuter bike available. So for that reason, and also the fact that it's got a DCT dual clutch transmission, that's available on the Africa Twin that I did a ride on my channel recently, although that was a manual option. But yeah, really interested to try out the DCT version of this bike as well, so stick around. I'll go through my thoughts and opinions, we'll do a little walk around, take it out for a spin. First impressions are, it's really comfortable, so upright riding position, not cramped or crouched, easy to get your feet on the pegs, it's not straining to reach the bars, anything like that. I have heard a few comments before from people saying that the seat can be a little hard, but so far I'm not finding that, although I'm literally only a few minutes, later on after I've had it for an hour or two, I'll report back on that. As it stands at the moment, it's in the drive option, so with it being a DCT, so it's a dual clutch transmission, so basically it has a second clutch, and that second clutch is engaging the next gear, so it's anticipating what the next gear will be, and it engages that in advance, so that when you're ready to go, it's basically, if you're in first, then it'll be selecting second and so on. And it effectively puts this as a fully automatic machine. Now you can change it, so it's also got a sport mode, so that makes the bike, gives it a bit more performance, and you can also change it into manual gear changes. And if you're changing it into manual options, then on the left bar you've got kind of like a paddle shift system where you can just flick it up and down. So as you can see on this side, there's no clutch lever at all, so that's quite an odd feeling straight away. It's ultra smooth, and that is part of the reason why I think it's so loved as a commuter machine, because I'm setting off now and I just basically pull up to those lights. I didn't have to put it in neutral, change down any gears. Already it's in third, and that is unreal, because I'll be honest, I didn't even know that it had changed gear then at all. I mean, it's now in fourth. The drive option, you might think, why is it in fourth when I'm only doing like 30 mile an hour? And the reason, as I understand it, is that basically the drive mode is the economical mode, so it's always going to look for the gear that is basically going to eke out your fuel economy the most and eke out your petrol. So in this drive mode, as you can see now, it's put me in fifth. If I start slowing down for this roundabout, then that's when it should automatically drop down. But it's a little strange, I would say, if you're not used to this kind of machine. I've been on an electric scooter before, and it's not that dissimilar to that. Obviously you've got the noise and the rumble of the engine, but other than that, it's pretty similar. It's just literally a twist and go, a big twist and go bike essentially. Handling wise then, it's very light, although the official weight is roughly 230 kilograms, I believe. It's not the lightest bike out there, certainly not for what you'd expect. It's kind of like a commuter bike. However, like most modern bikes, as soon as you're on the road, that weight just disappears. It's very flickable. The suspension, although it's non-adjustable, it's just standard Showa suspension, it's perfectly fine. I'm not feeling any bumps. It feels quite firm. It's not a bike that's got soft suspension. It's not diving as I'm going over bumps or anything like that. I'd expect that, commuting and filtering between cars and in traffic would be great, because it's very, very, like I say, light, easy to manoeuvre. The mirrors give you a good view of the road. You've got this tall screen here, so that's good at deflecting any wind. It's a very windy day actually today, and I'm feeling it a little bit, but it is an upright bike, and I'd expect it to be a lot worse without that screen at the front there. As you may see, you've got this nice colour dash here. It's not full TFT, but at the price point of this machine, it's perfectly fine. In fact, it's got a lot of information on there, and is got more detail than you'd probably expect from this kind of bike. You've obviously got your fuel gauge, it's showing you that you're in the drive mode, you've got your gear indicator, your speed, your revs, and average trip meters and so on. This bike does have traction control as well, so we can look at that when we do the walk round. There are also other plus points to this bike which again put it in a category above a lot of other commuter machines, and that is that this tank here, it's not actually a tank, it's a storage compartment. So you can open this, again I'll show you that shortly, and you can fit a helmet in or anything else basically, obviously up to a certain point. We'll go through its capacity and so on, and the actual way that you fill the bike up is by lifting up the seat at the rear, and then you've got the fuel filler cap. On the tank as well, if you can see, we've got this kind of black plastic carbon covering or carbon effect covering, and that is where you can attach a tank bag. And so again, you can loop it through these sections here and you can put a tank bag on the bike. In terms of stopping power, it's excellent. It's only a single disc, but for the power that this bike puts out, it's only roughly around 50 horsepower. Then you don't really need more. Again, it's it's not a sports bike, and it's not putting it in that category of a performance machine. So the single brake is perfectly fine. Here it is then, the Honda NC750X. So I think it looks pretty good, nice and modern. I like this colour scheme with the white, silver and black. More functional than, I guess, super stylish. It's not an Italian machine, but it looks great. I like the LED headlight. The front of the bike looks nice and neat. So we'll go through these specs then. So this is a 745cc parallel twin engine. Puts out 54 brake horsepower, 68 newton meters of torque at 4,750 RPM. So it's not the biggest engine, or in terms of performance. However, I didn't actually feel like I was on a machine putting out roughly 50 odd horsepower. It felt plenty powerful enough, only in the short time I've had it anyway, so I wouldn't let that put you off. It's perfectly adequate for the kind of riding that you're going to be doing, commuting and touring on this machine. In terms of miles per gallon, I've seen figures ranging from 60 to around 80 miles per gallon, so I guess that depends on the mode that you're selecting, whether it's in the drive mode or not. It has a weight of 230 kilograms, so it's not the lightest bike, but again, that may be down to other factors. The engine in this machine is from a Honda Jazz, so whether that's adding to the weight, and the DCT and so on. But once you're riding the bike, you don't feel any of that at all. It feels super light, so again, fantastic handling machine. In terms of the brakes then, so you've got a 320mm single disc at the front with a 2-pot Nissin caliper. You've got standard suspension. I say standard, it's not non-upside down, but it is Showa suspension, so quality suspension there. The brakes feel great. I've not noticed any issues at all. Quite strong, again, for the power that the machine puts out, more than adequate. The suspension's perfect, nice and firm. It's not too soft or diving or anything like that on the bumps. For the value and the price of this bike, sometimes the suspension can feel a bit crude, but definitely not in this case. It feels like a typical Honda machine, really reliable, really well built, and that suspension is excellent. At the back, we've got a 240mm disc, as you see out there. The tyres are 120 at the front and a 160 at the rear. This exhaust looks pretty neat. You can see these tyres, they're Bridgestone, they're battle wing tyres. Not really familiar with these on other bikes. I think this is the first bike that's had these tyres on, but again, seems like plenty of grip. The roads are pretty wet actually today, as you can see. It's not the cleanest of bikes since it's been out, but yeah, excellent grip on the tyres, no problems at all. The rear of the bike then, I think it looks fantastic. You've got this LED light at the rear, nice and neat. I like the look of the bike from this side. Obviously difference being no gear changing lever, so that does take a little bit of getting used to, because you just basically rest your foot on that peg. Pretty much every bike I've ever owned has been geared, so it is a strange sensation, but it's amazing how quickly you get used to it. Okay, so in terms of the fuel tank then, you just pop your key from the ignition into this little slot here. If you turn left, you get the fuel tank, which lifts up this rear seat, and if you turn it right, the tank pops up for your storage. So I've opened up both. If I just flick this up here, you'll see there, so you can just pop your fuel in, lift that up nice and easy, and this is your storage. So it's a 22 litre storage capacity, so you can fit a full face helmet in there, and this 14 litre fuel tank. So we'll go through the dash then. So it's only quite small and compact, but you can see all the options available, and it's really clear from my point of view. There's a lot of information, but it's easy to see what you need to look at basically. So as you can see, you've got the rev counter going along the top, your miles an hour or your speedo there, you've got the time, this one down here is your fuel gauge, and then this is your gear indicator, and it will also change from your neutral light there, and it'll show you once you put it into drive, or the option that you've selected. This one here where it says T is your traction control. Just zoom in there a little bit, and it's got 2 stages of traction control, so all you do is just flick this switch here, this one at the top, and that should change your traction. So you've got 1, 2, if you hold it in, it goes off, and then you get a little warning light down there. Let's pop it back on again. There we go. And the dash does actually change through different colour modes depending on the mode that you've got it in for the transmission. So if you're going from drive to sport, it does actually change colour on the dash, so that's quite useful. And yeah, it's fairly basic, but again, it's got all the information. Not all bikes, even in this day and age, actually have a fuel gauge, so especially on a bike like this where you're commuting, that's pretty essential. So it's good to see that it's got the fuel gauge. So we'll start it up, just to press this button here. Okay, so we've got a bit more of an open road here, so I'm going to switch it into the sport option. That's sport level 1. There is kind of 2 sport modes, and if you can see there, so it took a little bit longer there to get through the gears, so it went from 3rd to 4th, and it just makes those gear ratios that little bit longer, so you can kind of have a little bit more fun with it rather than it whipping through the gears when you're commuting and going through traffic. For the fuel economy, it kind of hangs onto the gears a bit more. Again, I can just flick it down, so I'm in 4th here, and flick it down to 3rd, and then I can get a bit more torque out of the engine, but then it kicks back in and puts it up to 4th. So like I said, really excellent technology, very clever. It's automatic, but only when you want it to be, basically, and it does have a second sport option to kind of enhance it even more. If I hold it in, so we're in sport mode 3 now, so this is kind of like the sportiest it gets, and it nips along pretty quick, I've got to say. It's no slouch, definitely not. And if you're taking it out on twisty roads like this, you can have a lot of fun with it, and again, you can just manually go down the gears as well. It's ultra seamless whichever way you do it. I'm just flicking it on the left hand bar there, and to be honest, you can't even tell when it's changing gear. It's a good job it's got the gear indicator, because that's probably the only way you can really tell, to be fair. So flick it back into drive, just press it once and we're back in drive. And if you can notice, I'm in 4th. It's already put me in 5th, but obviously we're going up a little bit of a hill, so I'm going to drop it down again. There we are, back into 3rd. And that takes out all the hassle of the constant pulling in and out of the clutch, which again on roads like this is not too bad, and a lot of bikes have quick shifters nowadays, so it's not necessarily an essential feature, but it, you know, reduces the strain in a situation where you might be commuting or touring. If you're in and out of traffic a lot, filtering and so on, you don't always want to be constantly pulling on that clutch lever up and down with your foot. It just gets tiresome, and this is fantastic. It's just so easy basically. The good thing about this engine as well is that it's very relaxed and easy going, so it's not pushing you all the time into the higher speeds or almost kind of goading you to go faster. Say for example my Yamaha MT-09, because that's more performance based, it's definitely constantly pushing you to go quicker. This, you can go quicker if you want, you can put it in the sport mode, but because it's aimed more at the commuter and touring market, it's not an engine that will get into trouble. So it's very easy to ride, super flexible, and it really suits this kind of bike well. It's difficult to think of any negatives really. If I had to point a couple out, I'd probably say maybe the seat is a little hard. It's not that different really to my Yamaha MT-09. A lot of standard seats on bikes can be quite firm these days, and a lot of people will go for aftermarket options, so whether you'd notice it more on longer journeys possibly, but to me it doesn't feel that much different to most other bikes I've taken out, just a little bit firmer possibly. Here we are then, back at Via Moto. So it's been really enjoyable taking this bike out today. I definitely recommend taking one out for a test ride, just seeing what all the fuss is about. But as I mentioned, in terms of a commuter machine, I don't think there's a better option out there. It's so easy to ride, so easy to use, got the storage, you've got the excellent miles per gallon, great value, and the DCT just adds that extra element to it that just puts it above other bikes in this kind of touring and commuter market, and it would make an excellent bike as a first big bike after you pass your full kind of license or your test. So give these guys a call and see what you feel for yourself, but I think personally it does live up to the hype, and I'm really impressed. So thanks again for watching.